Thrustmaster T3PA-Pro pedals that have been not working lately with any of the racing sims that I play on PC as well as on the Xbox X console, Series X console. And it's basically where the accelerator, but more importantly, the brake pedal on the T3PA-Pro pedals, it gets like stuck and fluctuates. In some cases, even when I'm not touching the brake at all, it'll be at about 25% and just stay there. So obviously you can't go full speed. It also, even in calibration, even outside of any sims, just in the Thrustmaster control panel, it will not go to 100%. And you can see even when you open up the settings, sometimes it will, both the accelerator and the brake will sort of already be set and fluctuate even when you're not touching the pedals. It comes and goes. Initially, when I first started seeing that happen, it was a few months ago, and it seemed like if I would just disconnect the pedals and the power and reboot the PC and plug everything back in, it would work okay. But again, I think I've narrowed it down to it basically being an issue with the pedals in some form or fashion, because it seems to operate the same way even outside of any of the racing sims, and it has the same problem even when it's connected to the Xbox. I have not tried finding a different pedal set. In fact, the default pedal set that came with the TX racing wheel, so the wheel hub that I'm using, the racing wheel hub, is the Thrustmaster TX racing wheel, the Ferrari 458 Italia. I am not using the stock pedals. It's the T3PA-Pro pedals that are connected to it. I'm also not using the stock wheel. It's the Sparco 383 rally wheel that's connected to that. But again, it's worked just fine for a few years. It's only been recently that I started having this issue with the pedals. So first and foremost, we'll start with the control panel issue. So we open up the Thrustmaster control panel, go to Properties. Okay, and this is the other thing, it's not been consistent. Sometimes what you would see here is as soon as you open this up, you would see the brake and the gas both at about 25%. So we're going to calibrate. So just so you know, my foot is not on the gas at all right now. I haven't even touched it. My feet aren't even on the pedal base, and you can see it's at maybe 5%, something like that. But that was just from starting to even touch it. So there, I barely have my foot on it. I'm not actually even putting any pressure on it right now. I just have my foot on the pedal base. I have not touched the pedal at all. And you can see just when I put my foot on the pedal base, not even touching the gas pedal. Okay, now I just barely touched it. And when I say barely touched it, I mean my foot, I have not put any pressure on it. This is what you see happening here, even all the way up where you saw it almost get to 50%, is not where I have put any pressure at all on the pedal. I have not even tried to move it. This is just the top of my foot barely being on it. So now I'm going to actually push the pedal. All right, so now I've pushed it all the way to 100%. I've taken my foot off. This again, what do you see happening there? Right now my foot's not even on the pedal, and you can see it just going up and down. Now it went down. Now my foot is barely on it. I've just not even putting any pressure. You can see it go kind of fluctuating up and down. Now I'm going to start to apply pressure. I'm starting to push all the way down, and you can see nothing's really changing. Like normally you would see a very specific you know, as my foot is moving up and down. My foot's not moving at all. I actually have it, as far as what I can feel in the pedal right now, I have it probably at 50% maybe. I'm going to push down a little more, push down a little more, push down a little more. Now I'm at 100%. Okay, taking off a little bit, taking off a little bit more. You can see it's jumping around even though I'm barely moving my foot. Okay, now it's off. My foot is completely off the pedal, not touching it at all. My foot, nothing is touching the pedal base. My foot's not even on the pedal base, and you can see it's just stuck there. All right. Now what I just did there is I actually reached down and pulled the pedal back up. Even though it doesn't feel like it's stuck or anything like that, that's just kind of resets it. But you can see even when I take my foot or hand back off it, you can see it's moving up and down, even though, again, I have not, my foot's not even on the pedal base at all right now, and it's sort of still moving. So now we're going to do the brake. So I'm going to start now. I'm probably 50% on the brake. Now I'm at 100%. My foot is pushed down as hard as I can. Now I do have one of the brake mods that comes with this wheel and pedal set. It's basically the same mod I've used ever since I first installed it. I think it's what's called the conical mod for it. It just requires you to put a little bit more pressure to get at full 100%, but you can see like I'm pushing this absolutely as hard as I can down on this, and I'm barely over 50%. Now I just barely pushing on it. You can see it just fluctuates up and down. I'm just barely applying pressure. Now I've applied as much pressure I can. I'm pushing down as hard as I can on the pedal, and that's where it's going. So, and nothing I do seems to correct that. I've reset. I've verified the firmware. The drivers and everything are up to date. So the next thing I'm going to try is just literally disconnecting these pedals and trying a different, if I still have it, the default pedal set that came with this wheel. Even though it's not the greatest pedals, it's at least something I can try to see if it's giving me better results than this, because it's basically made being able to race unplayable at this point. So you can see it's just, and this is, you know, again, I've been using these pedals pretty successfully and consistently for a couple years without any problems. So, but you can see again, as I was using the brake, I haven't even put my foot on the gas, and it's going up and down. Now it just went down, and it's almost like there's, you know, I've looked at the wires underneath just to make sure nothing's frayed or getting pushed or pinched, because I do have this connected to a steering wheel, Pro wheel stand. And I have the wire, the cables, you know, Velcro wrapped around some of the rods just to keep them out of the way, but just verified that there wasn't anything getting pinched, because it almost seems, the way this is acting, it seems almost like it could be electrical or something. I don't know. I don't know enough about how these work. These are not load cell pedals, so but again, everything I've tried so far has not seemed to correct the issue. So the next thing I'm going to do is disconnect, hopefully find an old pedal set and see if I can figure out what's going on. There's probably something that needs to be cleaned or taken apart. I know old pedals used to be pots that could go bad or that would need to be replaced or cleaned. I don't know enough about this particular pedal set to know if that's even an option. May just be time to upgrade to load cell pedals anyway, or to upgrade to a whole direct drive steering wheel setup. So again, just to go through my settings here, or my setup itself, it's the Thrustmaster TX racing wheel, Ferrari 458 Italia. I'm actually using the rally wheel add-on and not the default wheel, so this is what the default wheel and pedals of the hub wheel hub that I'm using looks like. Somewhere I may have these pedals, that's what I'm hoping to try, but I've got this rally wheel is what I've actually got on the base, and then these are the pedals, this T3PA-Pro, and it's these pedals, the gas and the brake pedal, that are causing me the issues. I've also looked at this with the newest drivers. This base, the wheelbase, has the ability for it to switch to the mode for the newer Thrustmaster pedals, which are load cell based, that are the TLCM. I don't have those, but it did show that if you were in that mode, it could cause a problem, but I've followed the instructions twice to change both modes, and neither mode fixes the issue. In fact, if you put it in the TLCM mode, it actually makes everything worse, but switching it back to regular doesn't actually make any difference in the issues that I'm seeing with the calibration and the brake and the gas pedals basically fluctuating, and more important, the brake basically eventually gets, when you're driving and racing, it just eventually gets stuck on, so you're never at full speed, even if you're full throttle down a straight. So again, just to one more time kind of show what's happening, go into the properties, you could see it just fluctuated there for a minute, and again, my foot wasn't even on the brake. I am going to put my foot on the brake now, but when I have it at 100%, right now I'm pushing all the way down as hard as I can, and it's only going to 50. And now with the gas, again, the gas does seem to be a little more consistent. It's just like right now, my foot's completely off the gas. Completely off the gas, now completely off the pedal base. No, my feet are not on the pedal base whatsoever, and you can see it's kind of stuck down there at a couple percent. And again, this is eventually what the brake itself does. It's not capturing as much now as what I've seen it in the past, but yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to try. So the next steps are I'm going to just try to install the default pedal set and see if that at least fixes this particular issue, and then maybe I can figure out how to fix these pedals, or maybe it's time to upgrade. Okay.